All right, guys, we have some huge news in regards to the college football playoff format possibly changing with the implosion of the Pac-12. But first, you can see more schedules on Fox and Peacock coming out when it comes to Big Ten games. Oklahoma at Cincinnati, that game's going to be on Big Noon. That's a good game right there. But guys, when it comes to this, I want to say you can see Ohio State's only going to be on Peacock. Some of these games possibly only on Peacock. I was told Ohio State would not ever be on streaming only. So, yes, technically Ohio State's going to be on Peacock, but they're also going to be on NBC. So that game will be on Peacock, but it's also going to be on national television with NBC. So I'm really not, that's fine. That's not a big deal. Peacock is in a really bad spot right now. I think they lost $1 billion in Q4 of 2022. They're probably going to end up going bankrupt anyways, but those are just some games, and most of the Peacock games are going to be partnered with NBC. I think Notre Dame did it last year where technically the games would be on Peacock, but they'd also be on NBC. It's really not a problem if you do that. The thing that we cannot have is where it's a standalone Peacock game like Michigan Week 1 game against East Carolina. You've got to feel for those fans, streaming live sports. You can't do it. The buffering, it is terrible. So I just wanted to go over that. But guys, let's get to the big news. After the Pac-12 implosion, college football playoff format set for another shakeup. The Pac-12's impending dissolution is expected to reopen debate among conference commissioners on the 12-team playoff model, a decision that took them more than 18 months to reach. It's too soon to say, according to Bill Hancock, the executive director who recently announced he'll be retiring at the end of 2024. The format should be reconsidered, according to the SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey. And it makes complete sense, and it looks like we're going to have dueling formats. The current format, which is a 6+6 model, includes automatic access for the 6 highest-ranked conference champions. You get the 6 auto qualifiers and at-large spots to the next 6 highest-ranked teams. Now, clearly, with this format, the way it was done, we do have 2 conferences that are becoming more and more stacked, the Big Ten and the SEC, so the idea of having 6 automatic bids, it doesn't make sense anymore considering one of those auto bids was coming from the Pac-12. The Pac-12, for all intensive purposes, doesn't exist, and even if you want to say, oh, it's rebuilt, it doesn't work like that. It would be a virtual group of 5 league, so it's clear they're going to have to change the format in that way. It cannot be a 6+6 model. There's not 6 spots available because the Pac-12 doesn't exist anymore, so it would come down to 5, and then the whole thing gets into, should a group of 5 get an auto bid? That's another big question that's going on right now. Most expect the SEC and Big Ten to want a change in the revenue distribution model to reflect a league's number of member schools, a change in the weighted voting system for certain college football discussions. The group uses a weighted voting system to grant more authority to Power 5 Notre Dame, 80%. Then the group of 5 at 20% by using assigned units. How the Pac-12's units will be distributed is in question. One college football decision maker suggested that the Big Ten and the SEC will want the majority of units, creating more of a distinction between them and the ACC, Big 12, and Notre Dame. And a change in the 12-team format. The Big Ten and the SEC are not standing at 6+6. Both are probably going to say, let's just look at the rankings with the at-larges, and that gets to, at the center of the format argument is a familiar discussion point, automatic qualifiers or not, and this was a big debate. I think pretty much everyone agreed we needed the automatic qualifiers. Now it is completely different because we do have a power change in college football with the Big Ten and the SEC becoming even more powerful. The Big Ten adding Oregon and Washington. And here are the two formats that are currently under discussion. It is a 5+7 format. The number of teams obviously remains at 12. We're going to get a 12-team playoff, but automatic qualifiers drop from 6 to 5, and at-large spots increase from 6 to 7. The 5 highest-ranked conference champions get auto bids, and the 7 next highest-ranked teams receive at-large spots. This still guarantees that one Group of 5 champion earns a bid into the playoff, while 9 conferences. A 6+6 model will guarantee at least 2 Group of 5 champions receive a bid. And obviously that cannot happen. I think the Group of 5 at this point, they should hope and pray they even get 1 auto bid, let alone 2, because the Group of 5, I mean, you'll even hear Group of 5 commissioners, they even admit, they say, yes, I mean, we suck now. We lost some of our best teams. Cincinnati's not Group of 5 anymore. Houston's not Group of 5 anymore. UCF is not Group of 5. Think about that. Think of the last 2 Group of 5 teams to really make their name. I know people say Tulane, but let's just disregard Tulane, because Tulane, they beat a USC team that was broken at the end of the year. Let's focus on the teams that, I mean, UCF, they claim they were, national champions because they did go undefeated, but UCF is not even a Group of 5 team anymore. Cincinnati made the playoff a few years ago. They're not a Group of 5 team anymore. So I do think the Group of 5 at this point, they are clinging to that one auto bid, and they might even lose that because all of those Group of 5 conferences are so watered down. But it does get interesting for the Group of 5 where they could benefit from realignment and possibly add Oregon State and Washington State, which would really help them in terms of trying to get auto bids. That certainly would if they're able to add those teams, and then maybe even Stanford and Cal. Or maybe we get some type of merger, some type of Group of 5 merger, which would help even more on top of that. And then the other scenario would be the best 12. In this scenario, the top 12 teams are seeded into a playoff in a similar way that the current 4-team model operates. There are no auto qualifiers. Last fall, the chair of the College Football Playoff Board of Managers, Mississippi State president, proposed a 12 best model, but it did not garner enough support to pass. I hope it is as simple as 5+7, but it could be a fight. So it does seem like the new model will be 5+7. It is the conference champions getting the auto bids from the Big Ten, from the ACC, from the Big 12, and from the SEC, and then also one Group of 5 being guaranteed a spot in, and then the other spots become open at-large spots, probably to mostly SEC and Big Ten teams. I'm guessing we're going to get, in a 12-team format with how stacked these conferences are, we're probably going to get a minimum of 3 Big Ten and 3 SEC teams in every 12-team playoff. But if you go by best 12, now you open up the idea of possibly putting a 4-loss Big Ten team into the playoffs if you decide to go with that, and possibly kicking all the Group of 5 completely out because the Group of 5 has just gotten completely watered down. But I do think there will still be a Group of 5 auto bid for the best team. It is important for college football that you allow a Group of 5 a chance to compete. And that's why I think the best 12 will not pass, and they will just adjust it slightly. It's not going to be a big adjustment to the 5+7 format. There was also the idea where you could have a predetermined format. It would be like, it would include 4 Big Ten teams, or was it? Yeah, I think it was 4 Big Ten teams, 4 SEC, 2 ACC, 2 Big 12, or something like that. I don't think they're going to go with that either, where it's predetermined. Like the team that finished second in the Big 10 would be in a certain place. The team that finished third in the SEC would be in a certain place. Yeah, to me, that's just too complicated. So right now, based on everything, based on the 6+6 model we already had, I would expect just a slight adjustment to a 5+7, with Big Ten and SEC people arguing that it should just be a best 12 scenario, but I don't think that's going to happen. Right now, when you look at the conferences, if it is the 5+7 format, I would be very surprised. Like the Big 12, based on the teams in that league, I think the Big 12 might only have one team make the playoff every year. That league is just very weak. There's just a lot of middle-of-the-road teams. And then the ACC, you could argue the ACC could get 2 teams in. Well, I don't think they could get 3, but they could get FSU and Clemson, depending. Maybe another team has a Cinderella run. But this 12-team playoff is going to be dictated mostly by the Big Ten and SEC. And even the Big Ten and the SEC really shouldn't have much of a problem with the 5+7 format, because most of those at-large bids, probably 6 out of the 7, will go to Big Ten and SEC teams anyways, but that is just kind of the update. Again, I'm expecting the 5+7 format, and you will still have the group of 5, one of the group of 5 champions, whatever the best ranking team is, they will obviously make it into the playoff as an auto bid, unless they decide to go with the best 12 scenario, which doesn't seem like it has a ton of support right now. But guys, that is the current update regarding the college football playoff kind of restructuring after the recent realignment that has happened. So guys, that is going to do it for this video. Make sure you're following me on X. Link to that's always in the description.